Oh my. You look absolutely breathtaking, dear. Never before have my eyes seen such beauty and grace. This costume really brings out the most flattering side of you. Seeing you like this, I'm certain you would have been a beacon of beauty in any time period. I was hoping we could avoid attention today, but it seems I forgot to consider how absolutely astonishing you look. Even the mask and costume cannot hide it. It almost feels as though the light of the chandeliers is only amplifying your natural glow, my dear. Oh, I hope my remarks are not making you uncomfortable. I'm not sure why, but every time I see you, I feel as though my heart stops for a moment. As though words cannot express how brightly you shine in my eyes. If you wish for me to stop, you simply have to say it, dear. But so far, it almost seemed as though you enjoyed my rambles. Do tell me if I misinterpreted, though. As I said before, you set the pace. I know this must be a big step for you, compared to last time. Especially considering how few guests there were in the restaurant. But if you feel discomfort or fear being around this many vampires at once, you are hiding it quite well. I promise you, dear, you are entirely safe. As long as you allow me to keep an eye on you, I will guarantee your safety. However, if you decide to wander off on your own, I will not be able to warn you whom to stay away from and whom to ask for help if you need it. There are a few very influential and strong vampires here today, and some of them it is best to stay clear of. If you, for example, hear the name Lucia Deverac, you have to promise me you will keep your distance. That is the only thing I ask of you tonight. The only promise you must make me, for your own safety. You are, of course, allowed to do whatever you wish. Talk to whomever you feel like, but please, be careful. Even as somebody who has known these people for hundreds of years, it is near impossible to tell who is trustworthy. You see, vampires have had centuries to perfect the craft of deception. However, at festivities like these, most guests tend to stay civil. You will be okay, my dear. Nothing will happen to you. Especially being inside and surrounded by others, your human smell will not stand out, unless anyone gets really close to you. And even then, most vampires would not dare to act up at an event like this one. I hope you will get to enjoy yourself here today. If you like, we could dance later. I would never want to miss out on such an opportunity. I know I have not been the most present for the last few days, but I felt as though I should give you some time to acclimate. Though, That is not the main reason I had you brought here separately today. There is always a council meeting before the festivity, and only members are allowed in. It is usually quite boring, too, so you did not miss anything. Oh, since the sun has not gone down completely yet, shall we take a look at the garden outside? They have the most beautiful, lush flowers, and a small, well-kept pond with quite pretty fish. It is most beautiful in the hours of late sunset or early sunrise. So, care for a little stroll, my dear? You have no concept of how glad I am to have you by my side right now. I was terrified after what happened last time. I was certain you would never want to speak to me again. I sincerely apologize for my behavior, dear. You truly are too kind and patient with me. I do not know how I deserve such treatment. But in the end, what matters to me is that you feel comfortable in my presence. The evening air is quite refreshing, is it not? The light breeze in your hair, the smell of fresh flowers, and the feeling of grass beneath your feet. I used to frequent this place, back when I still lived with my mentor as a new vampire. I simply sat here for hours at a time, taking in the scenery and writing poetry until the sun would come up again. Before you ask, I never published anything. As a human, you do not have to see what happens to your work after death. You could tell yourself it would find the right audience eventually. Or you would at least only have to see the critics tear you apart for the limited time you live. I could not bear the thought of spending the rest of my eternity worrying about who did and did not enjoy my writing. I wish I had kept them, but I burned each and every single one. I still tend to do that to this day. Whenever I sit down to write, I finish a poem and then simply must destroy it. For it will never live up to the moment, or my muse, my inspiration, or my thoughts. It is also a very personal process. And after all this time, I am still terrified of being vulnerable. Simply the idea of anyone reading my utmost personal thoughts and emotions. You might be the only person I feel like I can talk to. Yet at the same time, the one I would be most distraught with leaving or judging me. I wish to lay my heart bare to you, but I am terrified of it. You see, the last time I opened myself to somebody was almost 200 years ago. I had only lived as a vampire for a few decades. When I met this human, I ended up caring deeply about. I felt safe around them, safe to speak to them about anything. As a newly reborn vampire, I had no control over my urges. These desires, even some elders still struggle with. I lost control. And myself in the process. I know it has been a while since then, and I should be long over it by now. But somehow I cannot let myself forget. I lay awake day and night, remembering the feeling of terror as I came to again, only to see the last drop of life leave the person within my arms. I tried to ignore it, get over it. I tried to drown out the sorrow in fountains of blood, in mortal pleasures and rushes of adrenaline. But it did not work. And even more than losing myself the first time, I regret every second of the century that followed. You see, it was easy to just give in to these primal instincts. But the guilt and pain afterwards were unbearable. And during this time, I would have needed a friend. Someone to help me find my way back to myself again. But everyone around me did the easier thing of giving in to the pleasure, giving in to the blood rush. The feeling of it was truly intoxicating, I must admit. Yet at the same time, I knew I was doing something terribly wrong. For an entire century, I was too weak to stop myself. Half of my current life was wasted on trying to forget. You know, when I came to your doorstep for the very first time, I did it because I felt as though I needed to push myself. I needed to connect with a human on a deeper level again. Because all these years, I mostly avoided all kinds of contact with anyone. But when I first tasted your blood, I knew I had to meet you. You tasted so pure, so sweet, so warm. You gave me hope. Still, at the same time, I was terrified of getting addicted to you, of losing myself again. I realized that punishing myself would not get me anywhere in life. So I decided to give it one last try. attempt to redeem myself, reconnect with that sliver of humanity still left within me. I had nothing to lose, and enough desperation, motivating me to come and find you. And now, here we are. I promised to tell you about my past, did I not? And if there is one thing I realized after meeting you, it is that one may never be ready for something to happen. Oftentimes, you simply have to do it. So there it is. The truth, laid bare before you. My darkest secret, shared with you. I felt as though I needed to hide the truth in order for you to stay with me. But you have every right to know what you are getting yourself into. And it was selfish of me to keep that from you. I want to trust you. Give you a chance to see what I truly am. And most of all, I want you to be able to trust me too. Simply be aware, you are always free to leave. I do not have a key to your hotel room. Even if I did, I would not use it unless you allowed me to. After everything that has happened between us, I'm almost beginning to think you plan on staying with me. But even if you did ever agree to my initial invitation, I want you to know you are free to leave at any time. You are allowed to do whatever you wish to, no matter what. And I want you to never have to worry about how I would respond to something. Again, you are free. You may walk away at any time. And I promise, I will not do anything to harm you or force you back. I know it may be difficult to believe that, since I know where you live, but you will have to trust me. My dear, before this evening progresses, I need to tell you how grateful I am to have met you, and how deeply sorry I feel about burdening you with my personal demons. You have become somebody very dear to me, and I feel as though during our time together, I have been given the chance to become a better person. I doubted myself from the moment I knocked on your door. No, every step I took towards it, I doubted myself. When our eyes finally met for the first time, I did not believe I was worthy of you. I was terrified of your disapproval, your discomfort, your fear. You could have slammed that door in my face. You could have told me no. You could have never contacted me after obtaining my number. My dear, I do not understand why you did it. but I am certainly most grateful for it. I feel as though I actually have a chance of falling in love again for the first time in centuries. Never has anyone shown me such patience and comfort. You truly are someone special. Someone so dear to my heart. I care about you. I want you to be safe. I have not felt this way about anyone in longer than you could ever imagine. 2 centuries already sound like a long time, but you have not felt the loneliness of being isolated for near the entirety of it. My dear, I want you to be happy. I do not care about what happens to me anymore. Oh no, not like this. It seems as though Lucia wishes to see me. You might be safest out here for now, until I return. As I mentioned, Lucia is no vampire I want you near. There is a wonderful bench between the bushes by the pond. I will come find you there, once I am done. Be safe, dear.